All right. 7 o'clock, so I would like to call the April 20th, 2021 Board of Selectmen's meeting to order. Can we all please stand for the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Under my announcements, I'd like to take a minute and recognize the snowplow volunteers. We have Jake Schultzberg from Douglas, Daniel Heaney, Colin Hare, Patrick Manning, and then there was a couple of drivers from Pine, Sand, and Stone, which was Richard Spalding Jr. and Victor McLeod that actually stepped up and...
There's another page, too. Yeah.
There is another page? Oh, I'm sorry. David Talvey, Donald Lyford, Kyle LaHouse, Neil Ford, James Hicks, Thomas McGrath, Tyler Brown, and Chad Carter. So thank you guys for stepping in and volunteering and helping out the highway department during one of the snowstorms. So I don't have any other announcements. Anybody else have anything you want to throw out there before we kick off the meeting? Okay. We'll go right into the first item on the agenda, which is the Chapter 61 notice, Cupola Parcel 1 and 2, Bald Hill Road, and possible votes. We have two notices to take land out of Chapter 61. Both are for land on Bald Hill Road owned by Hannah Coppola. One is for Parcel 1, which is 10.13 acres, and the other is for Parcel 2, which is 15.3 acres. Planning Board, Conservation Committee, and Open Spaces have all voted to recommend the BOS not exercise their right of first refusal, meaning we won't purchase the land. If we so choose, then we would sign the notice in our folder.
So I'll make the motion that we exercise our right of first refusal.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion on the matter? Seeing as none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, item 2 is to sign the May 11th, 2021
I like that.
election warrant and possible votes.
I'll move that we sign the election warrant as presented.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion has been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing as none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So next is appoint Council on Aging Jean Dwinnell, and possible votes. Is Jean on? Seeing as, doesn't look like she is.
Were you expecting her?
Doesn't say that she was going to be here in the notes.
Well, I see that the council supports Jean's nomination. That carries a lot of weight with me, and I'm sure the rest of the board, so I would make a motion that we accept Jean's application for the opening on the Council of Aging, and then to make that as town service ending June 30th, 2022, with, what is this? With the rest of the board's reappointments in June. Oh, set to expire, I see. So, can I do that over, Dave?
You can.
I was just thinking that's the longest motion I've heard in a while.
I didn't like how that, it's not how, Suzanne write this? Do you know?
I'm not going there.
Okay. So I would make a motion that we appoint Jean Dwinnell to a term ending June 30th, 2022 for the Council of Aging appointment, which is supported by that agency or that committee.
I will second that well-stated motion.
Motion's been made and seconded.
Was it? Okay.
The second time, yeah.
The second time it was, yeah. Any further discussion? Seeing as none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So, next is the fun part assign town meeting motions and possible votes.
So the town meeting's actually going to be held on May 15th, is that correct?
Yes.
So I will no longer be on the Board of Selectmen.
So we will assign
What a
you.
technicality, boy.
You cannot assign-
Do you think that gets you out of this?
Wait a minute. That means that,
You should get them all.
Yeah.
I second that.
Yeah, I can't, I'm not representing.
is there a precedent where we could have a guest speaker
Yeah, I think
presenting?
we
Right.
can have any member
We can
want.
appoint him as a guest speaker,
Yeah.
right? He thought he was going to get out of
He could
it.
do the whole warrant.
Here's what he could do, is that he could volunteer for all kinds of these, and then when he
Yeah.
vacates his seat, the person that takes it over is now responsible to present those at town meeting.
Yeah.
Well, it might be the first of hopefully a couple opportunities to just say, Mike, how great it's been to serve with you these number of years. I remember 2010, finding a call to serve, and I put my name in the ring, and you've been nothing but helpful since then, and it's been an absolute pleasure and joy and a privilege to work with you.
Thanks, Tom.
I agree.
Same here.
You're going to be very sorely missed. You've been a wealth of institutional knowledge.
An anchor on us others.
The archive of the board, right there.
So, well, usually the voice of reason.
That too, yep.
Yeah.
But I think when we've had to reach back into the past to figure out what we did before, or to act on, previous actions, Mike has always been the one that can jump right out and say, the last time we had this issue, this is what we did.
So, well, it'll be the first time in Douglas history that Mike Hughes wasn't on a board of selectmen, because he's been here since the inception of the town.
I have. I remember when we get a stipend of 50 cents a year.
His former name was Douglas before he changed.
No, I'm going to miss sitting on the board. It's kind of bittersweet, after 15 years, I've kind of enjoyed coming out on Tuesdays and being involved. But I'm not dying, so I'll be available.
Good to know.
Who knows, I may return in some other form.
Can we still appoint Mike to boards and stuff?
Of course you can.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Well, let's find all kinds of stuff to
There
appoint.
should be openings that we can just appoint him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just when all else fails, appoint Mike.
Sure.
Even if he's not here, we can find him.
Well, that's the
Enough
best
about me.
time.
Let's see who gets what motions.
Actually, I would do this, Mike, in honor of your service. If you want to dole these out, go ahead.
Yeah, let's leave it to you,
I
Mike.
would not want to do that,
All right.
but I appreciate the offer,
You know,
He would only do that if one of us were absent, because that
because
kind of
it's
is
much more
the...
fun.
the work is important, though, so I appreciate that, Mike.
So Article 1 is the budget transfers and amendments. Isn't that usually done by FinCom?
No.
No?
Usually by the chairman, I think.
Okay. I'll take one. How's that?
I'll go right behind you. I'll take two then. How's that?
Beautiful.
I'll do 3.
I'll take 4.
All right, we'll go back to the top. I'll take 5.
I'll take 6, yep.
And I'll take 7.
And I'll take 8.
And we're into the annual.
So on the finance committee, what's the next one for us?
Yeah. 1, 2, and 3 of the Finance Committee.
1, 2, and 3, okay.
So Blackstone Valley.
Really,
The next
that one
one?
is 2.
Where
Is it
are
my
we?
turn?
I don't know, where are we?
I'll take 4. That's fine.
4.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Want me to do 5?
Somebody writing this down?
Isn't 5 usually done by the,
Oh,
Board of
Board of
Health.
Health?
Yes.
And 6 would be
That's what
somebody
6.
from Water and
Water.
Sewer.
Water sewer, right?
7 would be the Cable Committee.
If not, I will do that.
Okay. Article 8. I can take Article 8.
That looks lengthy. Article 9 I'll take.
I'll do 10 then.
How do you feel about 11, Tim? What do you want me to grab it?
You can have it.
All right.
I think Dave should probably take the police and fire.
I'll take 12 and 13, certainly.
Not
Yep.
volunteer you, but you've worked on that.
Thank you.
I can do 14 us.
School contract, that'll be us, yeah, school bus
Yeah.
I'll do
contract.
14 and
Would 15 be a member of school committee would want to do that, or would that be us?
Still you.
I'll do it.
All right, and Timmy takes 15.
I'll enjoy watching your presentations from the audience.
We'll reference you.
Often.
please apologize. Our past eloquence will not be equal since Mr. Hughes has resigned from the political world.
I think it's a sabbatical. I don't think it's a
Right.
permanent
He
resignation.
just wants to refresh his soul, I think, and
After 15 years, he wants to come up for air. All right, so we're all set with the motions, so brings us to approve minutes and possible votes.
So I'll move that we approve the regular meeting minutes from April 6, 2021.
I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Seeing as none, all those in favor say aye.
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 So I'll also move that we approve the executive session minutes from April 6, 2021 as well, and to retain those.
I will second that.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing as none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. It brings us to your report, Mr. Administrator.
I'll be brief, Mr. Chairman. I know that the
we need to sign the warrant too, man.
Yeah.
election warrant, yeah, make sure you sign that.
Go ahead.
COVID numbers are down across the Commonwealth, but there are still quite a few communities that are so-called red or yellow. Our caseload seems to dwindle to almost nothing for a couple of days, and then we'll have a day when we have 6 or 7 positive results. The vaccination clinic in Uxbridge is going full tilt. I think if you want an appointment, you can get one. It's pretty much how it's rolling right now. For them to make their numbers, Douglas staff continue to be a major support for the vaccination clinic, and the reason why it's been able to fill so many appointments. Perhaps the biggest news over the last couple of days has been a series of correspondence we've received from the Division of Local Services, revisiting the issue of how much money is going to be allocated to the cities and towns in Massachusetts that do not have a form of county government. So, standalone, if you will, recipients of allocation aid. And I think the finance director and I both have the same reaction. The latest spreadsheet we saw had a 7-digit number next to the town of Douglas. And
Like so.
because somebody else has published it, I will not own the number. I will only say that the number has been published, that the town could get as much as 2.644 million. And I don't even know
What if you,
offhand where you would use that. And my mind immediately jumps to, well, if that's true of Douglas and Uxbridge's number was 4.1 and Northbridge's number was 4.4, some of the things might want to do, we might not be able to, because we might not be able to get people available to do the work, right? So if everybody's got this much money and we all have similar needs, you know,
Construction.
exactly, who's gonna, you know, the biggest deals will get done in the small towns, may not, even though they had the money, may not be able to get some things done. But it's an impressive effort by the feds. I hope it doesn't kick off an inflationary period or any other regrets.
The hell with that grant.
But we'll still have plenty of conversation going forward on what priorities are and, you know, how you want to approach it. The one constant is the advice from the ICMA that when any large infusion of resources like that is being made, we should try to find things that position the town to be more efficient and to deliver a higher level of service on a go-forward basis, and not just, you know, be completely retrospective and try to fix everything, especially if other programs were in place at the time that people took advantage of. Having said that, it's still a wide-open conversation about what to do. It's obviously 3 times bigger than the number we were initially told. So it's a sobering thought.
Matt, I missed it early. What's the source of these monies?
So this would be the however many $trillion package that Washington
The most
recently
recent CARES
passed.
Act?
Yeah. The America Rescue Plan,
Rescue plan, okay.
ARPA.
And what are the strings to it?
Well, it can't be used for everything, right? So there still has to be a tie to the economic shock caused by the pandemic. Some categories of project, water infrastructure in particular, have been identified as you can do anything. So you don't have to tie it back to any sort of COVID-related issue.
So
So-
water, sewer probably.
Water, sewer. I'm sure about water, I'm not sure about wastewater. So there's quite a bit of funds there. And plus our CARES Act funds, we still have close to $500,000 left there, are still useful through the end of December. So we will be making more PPE purchases for the school system. And supplementing to the extent that we need to, you know, town staff. But a lot of our folks have already been vaccinated. Now, that doesn't mean they're not going to wear PPE. It just means that our overall risk assessment, threat assessment is down somewhat. Hoping, knocking on wood, that the vaccine is effective against all strains, and that we don't see any odd strains in this part of the country. The rest of what has happened since you last met is really just cleanup from the budget and from the budget process, and making sure that the town is ready for town meeting. May 15th does help in one way, in that to the extent that anyone is interested in or has questions about the labor contracts, they've been posted already for almost a week. So there'll be another almost 3 weeks, more than 3 weeks, where interested parties can review the documents associated with town meeting, so they can have an informed vote. Above and beyond that, I don't have much else to report, Mr. Chairman. It's been a long, Patriots Day made it a long weekend, so we've had 2 or 3 business days since we last met.
I think the 2.5 override looks pretty good right now, in the sense that we can keep the town alive and get other sources of money. Maybe some of our economic development things are going to hit as well, so
Yeah, there's
overall picture looks
good progress on the economic development front. I will say I just want to make some things clear to folks that, you know, the time to be thoughtful is at the beginning of a project before you've done anything, and being mindful of future needs as well as where you fit in the community. And the Tri-Town warehouse proponents have been not entirely responsive to the concerns of the planning boards of the 3 towns, specifically Douglas's correspondence regarding traffic management and traffic studies beyond the immediate envelope of the building. And there have been a number of very helpful suggestions made by planning board members, including Douglas's planning board, to the project proponents about different configuration of the property and the infrastructure on the property that so far have been pretty much ignored. So, my enthusiasm for the project, it's only 7% is in Douglas anyway. We're not really in control of anything, but my personal enthusiasm for it isn't so high. I don't know what in the world they're thinking, but this should be a slam dunk, easy, just answer the questions, move everything forward, and yet they seem to, I don't know if they're trying to be super budget conscious about the project. I don't know what the issue is, but it's they're not off to the greatest start. If it was even more controversial than it already is in Sutton and some folks in Uxbridge, then it would be in trouble. But it is sort of in the middle of nowhere, so it's nowhere in the sense of there's not heavily populated subdivisions with lots of kids, and there are some kids, there are some families and homes, but I can imagine a much more crowded setting. It's just not. It's next to the highway and a wetland. That brought something else to mind, but it's going to slip my mind now that I'm trying to think of it. But long story short, their best option is to work with the town of Douglas for both water and wastewater. That really is their best option, and it's in our interest to see that go forward, because we have customers that we want to connect between the beginning point of the project and the terminus, which would be on the other side of 146. And, just no kidding, right? If they take other options and try to bring water in from the other side of 146, and they get bad news about water tests, or they hit ledge or whatever, and they come back to us after we've already made commitments and done our own project, we're going to have a lot more leverage. And, that I'm fine with having lots of leverage at the table. I just warn everybody the time to work with somebody is when we all know that the town of Douglas would need MassWorks or some other form of support from the Commonwealth to make this work on our current status. If you're cooperative, cooperative and you work with us and make this whole thing happen and adjust timeframes accordingly, the partnership could get it done in a reasonable amount of time and at least expense for all involved. But if we go through the trouble of extending the water pipe and repaving Gilboa curb to curb and disturbing commerce and disturbing people's lives for the better part of several months in order to accomplish that project, then you come back to us a year later and say, whoops, we goofed, we want water now. I don't know, we should get all that excited about it and without extracting a little bit more of concession. So a lot of that is for the Water Commission to decide, not the Selectmen or the town administrator, but that would certainly be my recommendation, that they could be in a position to drive a very hard bargain going forward. That's what I had as by way of report, Mr. Chairman.
On the Budget Finance Committee, have they made a recommendation?
Yes, so they recommended everything. They split evenly on BVT, so it was a 3-3 vote.
Okay.
But they voted everything else to be recommended.
All right. So are there any open session topics not reasonably anticipated 48 hours in advance of this meeting?
I actually have a question. I know National Grid has initiated their tree cutting program, and I've seen a number of trees come down, and they're taking the brush away, but leaving big bushes of trees behind. Are there plans to come back and take that away?
Doesn't seem to be. And
Terrible.
it does kind of look like, kind of a half-willed effort, right? The thing is, you need equipment big enough to pick the stuff up, and you need a place to take it. And I think that's part of our problem as when we do the town trees, is that some of them are so massive that we just don't have the stuff it takes. Just to make a cut in a 48-inch circumference oak tree with a chainsaw is quite a project. So I think that's where we found ourselves, that if we can't move it, then we've had to leave it.
I thought there was some sort of a plan that first crack would be anybody that wants to take them away for firewood.
That's certainly the case. I mean, I don't think we can leave these things either, because they're a bit of a hazard to moving traffic, and, you know, it's bad enough that you hit things on the side of the street, not to put more things in your way. But I think that is the problem. We want people to take it, first of all, but then there's the logistical issue of how do you move
How
it?
you do that.
Well, the shape they left it in, and they took down some of mine, which I'm happy they're gone, but they left the pieces so large that unless you have that specialized equipment, there's no way to pick that up.
A lot of the smaller stuff, I've seen a lot of people grabbing, like picking up, throwing it in
Still
their
gonna
trunk.
leave, it's gonna leave the big stuff behind, and that's the problem.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I'm welcome to come down and take whatever you want. I don't have a wood stove, but,
And it is fairly close to the edge of the road.
yeah.
In a lot of places, it is very close.
Some of the biggest stuff you need.
So we can ask further,
Maybe give a
Selectmen?
report on that at some point the next
Yeah,
meeting.
I'll write that down for John to respond to.
Is it even too big for our loader, Matt?
Just getting it in.
I don't know, do we have a?
Well,
I don't think we have the grapple hooks on it, but you should be able to chain and hoist it and at least get it back off the road.
It's a lot of work,
I don't know, some of that stuff looks too big even for, I mean,
I would say.
experienced operators, and all our guys are real experienced operators, can probably handle some of it, but still get it hoisted high enough to get it onto a truck.
Probably gonna have homeowners that don't want it back on their property as well.
Yeah.
Is there any way to talk to the grid about this? Do they have any plan on having their contractors remove any of this?
We'll ask
They were
them.
using Stanley. I don't think Stanley's got anything that big.
I mean, they have very impressive chippers,
Yes.
and they've put some awfully big trees into the chipper, so you know they're trying, right?
Yeah, and they're taking a lot of that stuff
Yeah, but you
away.
get into like 48
The really
inch
big
pop
stuff.
log, Yeah,
Yeah.
that's not gonna go so
But
easy.
even some of the not-so-big stuff is being left behind.
Is it? Yeah, that I would just encourage people to take, because it's probably good fuel if they're so inclined to use it.
If you could ask John if we've got a grapple for the loader.
I'm trying to remember if we do, because what we were picking up debris from the tornado with a thumb.
Hook.
All the thumb buckets. It's a little different than a grapple.
Yeah. I'll get you these answers for May 4th.
Thank you.
You will need to have a meeting on May 4th. Normally, you might not have, because town meeting was the day before, but since it's been put off to the 15th, we will have business for you to transact on the 4th of May.
And when's the election?
The 11th.
11.
All right. Is there any other items not reasonably anticipated 48 hours in advance of this meeting? I would be looking to Mr. Bonin for one of his eloquent motions.
Okay, I will make a motion that we move into executive session for the purpose of collective bargaining and litigation, and then to leave executive session for the purpose of adjournment.
I'll second that elegant motion.
yeah,
Motion has
very
been,
Shakespearean.
it was, I was impressed, I got goosebumps.
You guys are making me blush.
So the motion's been made and seconded. Can I have a roll call vote, please?
Hughes, aye.
Bone and I.
Davis, aye.
Cortez, aye.
Morris, aye.